What's the story, lads? Welcome back to GEA Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping wonderfully well. This is episode 29 with Dublin Senior Hurler David Keogh. Of course, in this episode, we look back at David Keogh's time playing for the Dublin Senior Hurling squad. Of course, he's been a part of the team for a couple of years now, having broke through into the team in 2019. We look back at last year's championship for Dublin. Of course, a championship which saw them lose to Kilkenny, of course, in the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship. Of course, they did produce quite the fight back in that game, but ultimately still lost. And we also spoke about that defeat to Cork, of course, as well. We look back at David's time playing for the Dublin team in general, and of course look back at his time playing for the under-21s as well, reaching a Leinster final. We also touched on David's club playing days as well, of course, with Thomas Davis. He was a part of the side that, of course, reached the Dublin Senior Football Championship final, of course, in 2019. Of course, they lost out to Ballyboden St Endas, but we spoke, of course, about their journey as well, beating the likes of Castleknock and Kilmacud Crokes along the way as well as of course touching on the future of Dublin hurling in general, and of course speaking about the future of Thomas Davis in both football and hurling, looking at some rising stars coming through the ranks at the moment in the coming years. So I do hope you all enjoyed the podcast. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so I'm joined here with Dublin Senior Hurler David Keogh. I suppose first of all, David, I appreciate your time, appreciate you jumping on. I suppose it'd be good to look back your time playing for the Dublin Senior Hurlers through minor, under 20 and senior level, and obviously your time with Thomas Davis as well. I suppose first of all, how's life with yourself?
Good, yeah. Thanks very much for having me on. Yeah, look, things are going well. I suppose I'm in the same position as everyone else, struggling with everything, but sure, look, you have to, make the best of a bad situation, I suppose. But look, there is light at the end of the tunnel coming soon, So it's just a matter of sticking it out, I suppose, isn't it?
And obviously at the time of this recording, literally just I suppose a few hours ago, like it was announced that inter-county training is going to return on April 19th, I suppose, if everything goes well. How would you feel about that? Like, what was your reaction to that news?
Absolutely delighted, to be honest with you. There's only so much you can do of running around the pitch by yourself, So it's been at that for the past couple of weeks and months and all that crack. So it's great news, to be honest with you. So hopefully, things go well over the next couple of weeks and numbers stay down and, things do pull through.
Yeah, hopefully now over the next couple of weeks and couple of months anyway, we can definitely come to the end of it anyway. Like it's definitely gone on for long enough. Like, how have you kind of managed yourself, like without the, inter-county training? Obviously, you're having a lot of Zoom calls and everything else. Like, how have you kind of managed that whole situation, and I suppose keeping up your own individual training as well?
Look, it's been tough on everyone, to be honest with you. With regards to training, you've literally just yourself, a pitch and a wall pretty much. Like, and sure, you can only do your best, I suppose. You're in the kind of way. So just a matter of kind of over the past couple of weeks, keeping up on things and keep the touch and all that crack, as well as fitness and all. Up to date and up to scratch, I suppose. So it's absolutely buzzing out to get back into hopefully collective training in a couple of weeks. So, fingers crossed or whatever, all will go well.
And obviously, like, just kind of looking back at your time, obviously playing for Dublin, and I suppose kind of like what was it for you that, obviously I know you play football with Thomas Davis as well, and we'll kind of get into that senior football championship, but what was it for you that kind of led you to, I suppose, pursue hurling at senior level and kind of go down that route as opposed to football? Because obviously here in Dublin, like, football is probably the main sport over the two. So what was it kind of for yourself that kind of led to that?
Yeah, so obviously I played dual with the club and have done since I joined. I played dual with Dublin underage all the way up to minor until I was made to make a decision. So it kind of went on for a couple of weeks, and I was kind of hemming and hawing, thinking about which one I wanted to pick and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, it wasn't a spur of the moment thing, but I just kind of always had the kind of pull towards the hurling more so to the football. And essentially that's what made me make the final decision. I there was a lot of dual lads, say, back at underage at minor and stuff like that, and some lads, a lot of lads stayed with the football, and it was fairly 50-50, to be honest with you. But yeah, so obviously it came towards under 20s or 21s at the time it was, and I was on trial with both teams, and again I was in the same position. You know, I was made pick, and there was no chance of playing dual, which you can understand. You know, like if a team is training 4 or 5 times a week, how can you just can't split yourself like that. You know, it take a serious toll on the body. So it was, to be honest with you, it was for the best.
Mm. And like, who would you have looked up to, I suppose, as a kid growing up in Dublin? Like, I suppose from a football and a hurling point of view.
Yeah, so look, I was actually late enough joining, so I was only in around 11 or 12 or so when I joined. So I had a lot of friends on the road that that had played, and eventually they got me up and started off from there. So like it would have been local lads like Dotsie O'Callaghan and stuff like that, lads that would have been around, that you'd hear the name being thrown around and stuff like that. And, he would have been a fairly big, character to look up to, I suppose. And, I see myself hopefully, being in a similar position to him in a couple of years, being a great role model and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and what have you made even of sort of the rise of Dublin hurling over the past kind of 10 years or so? Like, obviously at 2013, obviously when Dublin won the Leinster Senior Championship, like what have you kind of made of that rise over the past 10 years or so for the Dublin hurlers in particular?
Yeah, look, it's the Dublin hurlers are kind of seen to be like a much lesser standard to the footballers in the county, which those lads, they have the silverware, they've backed up everything, that kind of way. So it's it can be quite hard at times, when you see them lads, competing so well and winning medal after medal and year after year, they're reaching All Ireland finals. Sure, that's every young fella's goal, is to get out there on All Ireland final day. So things are coming on great. With regards to Dublin hurling, there's some serious young lads coming up, and even just lads I know, from playing with, and then just you hear through the grapevine, of these youngsters coming up. So it's there's huge kind of promise coming up. So look, hopefully in the next couple of years we will be thereabouts.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and I suppose looking at your time as well with the Dublin Miners, like obviously involved in that 2016 Leinster Championship win, like I'd imagine that was quite a proud moment for yourself as well, like beating the likes of Wexford, Kilkenny, and eventually falling short to Limerick. But one hell of a journey, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I had a fairly successful underage career. I was, between football and hurling, so I had a huge drive for winning. Wanted to be the best out there. Playing with the best lads that are there. So there was, over the past couple of years, that's just kind of like followed suit, and just there's been a huge drive there. Winning the Leinster that year in 2016 was an unbelievable feeling. It's a feeling that I'll never forget, and I hope, touch wood, that I'll be there again, with the seniors. And yeah, look, again, as I said, it's every young fella's dream is to get out there on Ireland final day and come home with a medal.
And do you think it's that drive as well that you kind of just mentioned there as well, like that will to win, that kind of culture, I suppose, within both the footballers and the hurlers, that I suppose kind of, that you'd hope with a lot of the kind of younger lads coming through like yourself and in the Dublin team at the moment? Do you think that will kind of stand to you as like kind of moving forward over the next couple of years, be it in the Leinster Championship qualifiers, National League, or wherever it may come?
100%, yeah. Like that word culture there is hugely thrown around. And I feel personally, for any team to be successful, there has to be a huge kind of camaraderie, like a brotherhood. Every team has to have, they have to have that one thing about them that just links all them together. And it's like there's a huge onus on players nowadays to kind of for things to be player led and stuff like that. So I think the Dublin Senior Hurlers are they're getting there. It's like anything, it takes time for these things to happen. So eventually, as I mentioned before, I touch wood that we will get there eventually.
And like, what do you think were the notable differences as well? Like when you kind of moved from say minors up to under 20, and then I suppose into the senior panel as well. Like what kind of differences did you notice maybe from, I suppose, moving from football to hurling, and then I suppose from minor and under 20 hurling up to senior as well? Like what were the kind of notable comparisons and differences between the two?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's nearly a given that the older you get, the higher teams that you play for, it gets more professional as you go along. So you start off obviously underage, and you're delighted just to have to get your jersey or whatever, your training top, and you're happy out with that, and then you make the step up, and each age group that you jump up is a huge leap, with regards to professionalism. Now obviously up with the seniors, it's unbelievable. Every step that you take is tracked. With GPS. There might be 15 people watching from different angles of training and stuff. Like there's no hide, nowhere, no room for as I said, to be hiding there.
Yeah, and I suppose is it that kind of professionalism as well that's kind of ran within, I suppose, both the hurling and football teams. I suppose having that around, I suppose, must be kind of give you massive confidence, I suppose, as well, kind of moving forward, when you're looking to progress your own kind of individual abilities as well.
Definitely, yeah. It's mad to think that it was only a couple of years ago. You're just out training, say just a normal pitch, say with an under-16s team, and what 2-3 years later on, you're out there and say Abbottstown week in week out, on state-of-the-art pitches, state-of-the-art dressing rooms, and there's a huge feel of professionalism there, which it's great. You really look forward to going to train and being involved in the setup. It's personally, I find it really something to look forward to. It gets you. You're not. You go through your day's work, whatever, and you're not out onto this pitch here now or whatever. You're going out onto the best pitches. So it really is a serious setup.
Absolutely, yeah. And what was it like then when you kind of did come into the senior team then and kind of make your first appearance, and I suppose come off the bench a couple of times as well? What was that experience like?
Yeah, so obviously 2 years ago when I first came onto the panel, I just a lot of the older lads took me under their wing. Paul Ryan, Danny Sutcliffe, they were straight in. There was no one, thinking they're too big for their boots, and everyone kind of came together to make themselves, to introduce themselves, and as I said, get you involved in everything. So it was quite nervous, to be honest with you. Obviously I knew lads that I played on the 21s with that were on the panel, the likes of Ronan Hayes and Keane O'Sullivan and some of them lads. So obviously initially you gravitate towards the lads, and then eventually you come out of your comfort zone. It's like anything, you grow into it. You get to know all the different lads, and try and sit with someone else at every train in the dressing room and stuff like that, and just to get a good feel for all the different personalities and stuff like that. And it was a huge jump, to be honest with you, from say 21 to senior. But look, it was great, and things are going well at the minute, so I couldn't ask for anything better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, what kind of players would you even lean on for experience as well? I know you mentioned Paul Ryan, Danny Sutcliffe as well. Would they been the main two? And if so, what was it like kind of coming into the team, training with them, and I suppose seeing how they apply themselves kind of week on week playing for Dublin Hurling?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I can't fault anyone. Everyone, had taken me under the wing, and obviously the other young lads that came in that year as well. But to be honest with you, they nearly would have been the two main lads that would have, brought me in or whatever. Led by example, I suppose you could say. So to be honest with you, it was great to have two lads like that, two sound fellas. Even going out on the training, after a couple of weeks, you found yourself walking out onto the pitch with different lads, chatting, finding out about, work and what they do for a living and stuff like that. So it was good.
Yeah, I suppose it's the bond as well, isn't it? And kind of it blends back to that brotherhood kind of thing you were talking about earlier as well.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's that whole kind of camaraderie thing, for any team to be successful, as I mentioned, it has to have that. There can't be anyone, thinking they're too big for their boots, and there's absolutely none of that in this senior team.
And looking back at last year's championship campaign for Dublin, how would you reflect on it? I suppose kind of close battle with Kilkenny in the end, and obviously unfortunately lost to Cork then, of course, in the qualifiers. How would you reflect on the championship?
On a personal level, it was a huge experience for me, a huge positive in my career, I suppose you could say. Getting my first start in a championship game, nailing position for 90% of the games, and And then sure, when I didn't start and I'd come on as a sub, it was just all about being, being useful, being an impact sub, as they say. So it was, on a personal note, I found it to be a very good year. With regards to the team, look, disappointing to obviously be knocked out. When we did, we 3 games in 3 weeks on the trot, so it was very heavy on the body. It was tough mentally and physically. So it was a bit of a hard hit, to be honest with you. But look, again, it's a stepping stone to hopefully bigger and better things to come in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I suppose it's all about the experience at the end of the day as well, and kind of, I suppose Rome wasn't built in a day, so you kind of suppose just have to kind of take it year on year in that kind of regards as well. Like, and even that comeback against Kilkenny, like what do you even think kind of drove you on there as well? Like, I know Kilkenny obviously still went on to win the game, but I think you were 20 points down at one stage and somehow managed to claw it back in the second half. Where did you kind of find that, I suppose, inner strength within yourselves to kind of to fight back like that?
Yeah, look, I mean, just that game alone, anyone looking in, to be, as you said, 19, 20 points down shows the heart and, the drive that the team has in itself to actually be able to claw that sort of, that lead back. Obviously we still lost the game in the end, but that was a huge, learning point from everyone involved, that, like, obviously first of all, to never give up, and second of all, that, like, we're up there with the top teams, that it's all about, believing in yourself. And when things go wrong, it's not about, throwing all the toys out of pram and forgetting about game plans and everything. Stick to the game plan and, things will fall into place. So I suppose that's a very good example of all that there on that night.
And as well, obviously with the whole kind of COVID situation, like it went back to, I suppose, the old system as opposed to the round robin. Like, do you think even the round robin might have even suited you more, or kind of suit you more maybe moving forward, with the fact that you kind of would have more games, you'd be able to, I suppose, gain more experience playing the likes of Galway, Kilkenny? Like, would you think going back to that system maybe moving forward might help you a bit more as well?
Yeah, look, it's a difficult one, to be honest with you. I suppose last year was just, no one could expect or anticipate what was going to happen, when anything was going to happen. So, unfortunate for us, obviously it didn't go our way. But yeah, look, as you said, with round robin, if you get more games in, obviously you're going to have more experience. You have more, nearly like a build towards the later end of the year, the more important games and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think that obviously to get more games on your belt would be a good benefit to us. It's just a matter of, they're talking about a short season this year, so it's a short condensed season, so it's going to be, probably similar to last year, where you've games week on, week out. So it's going to take its toll on the body, and it's up to players themselves to be able to recover from that, and be ready to go in the next week or so.
And how would you even measure even kind of the gap between the likes of yourselves and the Galway, the Kilkenny, Wexford, etc.? Like, obviously you beat Galway in 2019, which was a very famous win for Dublin Hurling, no doubt. Like, but like, how would you kind of see the gap between yourselves and them? Do you think like that's kind of a lot closer than people think, or do you think, on any given day you could beat any of them, given it's the right day, I suppose?
Yeah, I do 100%. I think the gap is a lot closer than people think. Obviously things haven't gone right for us in the past couple of years and stuff, but if you look back on them games, the Kilkenny game last year, the Galway game in 2019, it's like, as I said to you before, it shows that the drive and the determination is there in the team itself to be able to go on and do these things. It's just a matter of finding that want and that drive and being able to apply it in every single game and every time you turn out on the pitch.
And like, what would you even see as kind of like a long-term goal for yourself, and I suppose Dublin Hurling as well? Like, is it to kind of strive to get to that Leinster Championship and beyond that, or are you kind of taking it maybe one day as it comes for now?
100%. I'd absolutely love nothing more than to go on and win a Leinster Championship and then progress on to an All Ireland and win an All Ireland medal. As I said to you before, it's everyone's dream who plays hurling and football, to have that medal one day. So obviously in the back of my head, that's a huge goal. That's like, a main goal that I'd love to do eventually. But yeah, it's as you said before, stepping stones, and there's no point looking too far ahead. Take the next game at a time, and that's kind of the way I see it. Is you play what's in front of you, that kind of way. Look, that's hopefully how we're going to get results.
And when you see the footballers as well, does that kind of give you confidence as well? Like when you see kind of how successful they've been over the past, 10 years or so, like it took a while before they broke the duck as well. Like in 2011, like they had a lot of near misses before, a lot of kind of, poor results leading up to 2011 eventually. So does that kind of give you a bit of confidence as well that it is possible within hurling as well?
100%. Yeah, I've absolutely no doubt that, things can turn, can flip around for the best. Obviously, like you see all them lads, like sometimes you might be, training, say maybe in Parnell Park, and you walk past a lot of the lads that and stuff playing on the team, and you see them, and like obviously we don't know the feeling what it's like to go win an All Ireland. You see them, there's just something about them that I think any winning team needs to have. It's like a mentality thing, that is think you're the best, train like you're the best, and eventually like that you'll be the best.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you put it perfectly there. Like what kind of players do you kind of see even kind of coming through at the minute? Do you think could propel you on like over the next couple of years? Like what kind of young lads like yourself do you see coming through at the minute?
Yeah, look, I know a lot of the young lads that obviously I would have played with through minor and 20s there 2 years ago. So there's a couple of lads there just off the top of my head. Adam Waddick he was playing dual 20s last year. He's a unit of a young fella, and people like him you need to get them on board. You need to get them in from an early age. Build a bit of trust with management. Get management to try them out, and look, it's all about trust at the end of the day. The management trusted in me last year, and I thought I proved myself. So I suppose it kind of comes down to that.
Mm. And how do you reckon you'll fare then in 2021 as well? Like obviously, we're still not 100% sure like when the championship is going to resume or what they're going to do with the league and clubs and everything else. But I suppose in the championship in general, like how do you reckon you'll get on kind of leading into 2021?
Yeah, look, I think there's no reason why we won't do well. Everyone trusts in the lads that everyone's doing the work. Everyone's clocking up the mile. Like there's a serious amount of mileage being clocked up. All teams across the country by themselves at the minute. So the lads have done the work. The groundwork is done. So it's a matter of when we do eventually get back, hopefully on the 19th of April, that it's you hit the ground running. It's straight in. You're into your internal games. Hopefully get a couple of friendlies under our belts, and kind of go from there, I suppose.
And just to zone in then on your time with Thomas Davis, like obviously that 2019 run with the footballers getting all the way to the Dublin Senior Football Final, like beating the likes of Castleknock, Kilmacud, Crokes on the way, like must have been some experience for yourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I have to give it to the lads. The past couple of years, the football has just come on, leaps and bounds. They've always been thereabouts, playing in Division 1 and stuff like that. But the past couple of years, I think it was it 2017 or 2018, we beat Keogh and won the Senior B Championship, and then went on to have a successful year. Obviously didn't win that, but the following year it was quite successful. Reached the latter stages of the championship, and then there when we had played Ballyboden then in the final, you couldn't have lost to a better team kind of way. You have to give it to them. They had their their homework done. They didn't put a foot wrong. But yeah, look, I always enjoy going back to playing the football, because when you're with the county for so long through the year, and then you eventually get to go back to the club, and not that you're going in relaxed and stuff, but it's nearly like a bit of a break, from the whole kind of professional, like really professional setup and stuff. So it's always good. It's always good weather as well around the football when you go back.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and what do you even think it was as well? Like, was there a turning point even there for yourselves as well with Thomas Davis as well? Like, where you kind of believe that you could, obviously beat the likes of a Kilmacud Crokes or a Castleknock? Because obviously from an outsider looking in, I don't think many people probably would have given you as much of a chance kind of going into that, because obviously, you know, Kilkenny Cork of inter-county stars, Castleknock of Kieran Kilkenny in there, and Thomas Davis don't have any inter-county players, like not at that time anyway. So like what was that for yourself like?
That was it. Like, it was nearly like a statement here to say that, like, our lads had put a serious amount of work in, and it came down to it. There was a lot of young lads on that team. I think off my minor team that went up that year, I think there might have been 8 or 9 lads in around the panel, and I think 6 of them are starting. So as I said, it was nearly like a kind of statement to say that, like, we're here, we're ready to play. You know, no one's going to push us over this year. And I think, like, the lads have a serious mentality that they can, you know, go out and beat anyone, and, you know, you turn up on the day, you're well prepared, and sure, there's no reason why you can't.
And is there any players as well in there that you think, even in football or hurling, that you think, you know, could make it onto the county team, or you know, kind of push some of the players like for a starting place or get in around the panel like in the next kind of 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, like with the footballers there, we have Keane Murphy. He's after been called up to the footballers last year. He's played underage and minor, under 20, under 21s with Dublin and stuff like that. So he's a serious asset to the club team. So it'd be great now to see him kind of, you know, get a chance and do what he can do on the pitch for the Dubs. But with regards to the hurling, I mentioned Adam Waddick earlier on. He's a dual player. He actually plays for Thomas Davis. There's a load of young lads coming up that, you know, have a serious potential to, you know, maybe get onto an under-20s team and, you know, progress like I did and get the chance to get out onto the senior team. All it takes is one chance, and if you perform and you get that chance, why wouldn't you get the call up, you know?
And would you ever even have any ambitions of even playing for the footballers yourself at a later point, or are you kind of zoned in on the hurling for now?
To be honest, I haven't ever really thought about that. You know, just at the minute, I like to focus on what ahead of me, with this year, and, you know, I suppose you just play it by ear. I've never turned my nose up to it, but for now, that's my plans to stick with the hurling anyway.
Perfect stuff. Yeah, like, and I suppose lastly, like, who would you say would have been the toughest player you marked, I suppose, in both football and hurling? I suppose through your inter-county days, and I suppose your club championship days as well.
Yeah, look, I suppose the toughest marker in hurling, like, I have to give to Owen O'Donnell. He's just, in internal games, he's just all over you like a rash. He's just pace to burn, and he's the hardest marker I've ever had to try to get away from. So I have to give that to him. In the football, jeez, have me on the spot here now. I can't think of anyone in the football here now, but look, you do play against some serious lads, you know, even at club level like that, have just, you know, they see a chance, they see like a Dublin player out there, and they're like going to make it their mission to just have an unreal game, you know, try, you know, cancel that player out. So I've come up against some serious players, and, you know, I've had some serious battles, which is great to see.
Perfect stuff. Well, look, listen, best of luck anyway, David, with your time, of course, with the Dublin Senior Hurlers this year. Hopefully, definitely, as a Dublin fan myself, I'll definitely be cheering you on anyway. So, yeah, look, listen, I appreciate your time, and yeah, cheers for coming on.
No worries at all. Thanks very much for having me, Sam.
Thank you very much for watching and listening to episode 29 of the GAA Fan TV podcast with Dublin Senior Hurler David Keogh. I'd like to thank David once again for coming on the podcast. Appreciate his time coming on, chatting, of course, about his time playing for the Dublin Senior Hurlers over the past couple of years. And yeah, look, listen, of course, as a fellow Dublin man myself, of course, I obviously do want to see Dublin be highly successful over the coming years, and it would be nothing better to see Dublin be successful in 2021, and hopefully they can kick on a bit more and achieve more success, and perhaps even emulate the footballers to a certain degree over the next 5 to 10 years, who knows. But anyway, I do hope you all enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. The podcast next week will be with former Armagh footballer Aaron Kernan, so we'll be speaking all about his time playing for Armagh, and of course also his time playing for Crossmaglen, winning multiple All-Ireland Senior Football Championships as well. So I do hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, have a great weekend.